أعوذ بالله من نفسي ومن الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وبه نستعين وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وأهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجه. Today is the last Majlis of the sequence that we started on the 1st of Muharram, and today we will try and complete all our discussions and reach to a conclusion. But before I begin the topic today, I would just like to point out, because I notice a lot of young people here, especially youth, wearing t-shirts which have the name of Imam Hussain on it. I am not sure if you're aware of it or not, but according to all the Maraje Taqleed, the names of Aimma alayhi salam is mutahhar, and you have to be in wuzu all the time whenever you happen to touch the names. So when you're wearing the t-shirt, it's actually touching your body. If it's printed, you end up touching it knowingly, unknowingly. So make sure you're in wuzu all the time. And if you doubt that you cannot remain in wuzu all the time, please avoid wearing such t-shirts. Instead of having the name itself, have Aba Abdullah written on it, or Sayyidu Shuhda written on it, or something like that. But if you're using the exact name, that is Imam Hussain or Ali or Fatima, any of the names of our Chauda Masumin or Anbiya alayhi salam, you have to be in wuzu all the time. So I thought, just as a reminder, let me put it across to you all, so that if you're not aware, please make sure you remain in wuzu when you're wearing such t-shirts with such names on it. For those children who do not have taklif on them, it's okay, they are excused from that. Right, so please recite a salawat. Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farajah. Our topic has reached the point where we've discussed about the changes that one has to bring about in oneself and the changes that one has to bring about in the family. And now it's time to discuss about the changes one has to bring about in social environment. Now one might turn around and ask that, why do I need to bring about any change in social environment? I've changed myself, I've changed the family, that's it. Am I responsible for the society? Am I not supposed to tell them, lakum dinakum waliyadin? Or isn't that they would turn around and tell me, la ikraha fid din? Well, here's the mistake. Both these verses were for mushrikeen and not for mu'mineen. I have given this example earlier. I'm not sure some of the people might have been there, so I'll quickly repeat this example. Before we join Islam, you have right to choose a religion. And that's where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, La ikraha fid din. There is no compulsion in choosing what religion you want to choose. But once you choose a religion, you have to follow all the rules and regulations prescribed by the religion. Example, if you have 20 schools available in Bangalore, each school would have its own rules and regulations, each school would have its own uniform, and so on and so forth, curriculum, attendance and homework structure, so on and so forth. Now, no one will force you to join a particular school. It says you're free to choose a school. But once you choose a school, you have to follow all the rules and regulations of that school. You cannot say that I go to X school, but I will wear the uniform of Y school. Then the X school would say, sorry sir, you are part of X school, you will have to follow the rules of uniform of X school. That means, if I am a Muslim, I'll have to follow the rules of wearing appropriate clothing, like hijab, or the appropriate clothing for men, or all other wajibat and muharramat. So when you put your child through that school, you cannot tell them that, okay, some of your things I feel they're not appropriate, or they're not up to the mark, or they're not, contemporary, they're outdated. Let me pick and choose from your rules and regulations. They would say no. If you're part of our school, you're part of our school. They have to wear X uniform on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday when it's a PT day, they'll have to wear a PT uniform with white canvas shoes. And you say yes. You can't tell them, okay, your school is 9 to 4, I'll send my child only from 9 till 2, and last 2 hours he will never attend any of your classes. They say, sorry sir. If your child is part of our school, he has to go through 9 to 4. So if we are a Muslim, we have to offer all the 5 namaz. If you are a Muslim, we have to fast. If you are a Muslim, there is nothing called la ikraha fid deen here. La ikraha fid deen is before you enter the deen. The moment you're part of the deen, you have rules and regulations and one has to follow it. Now, so the question is, am I responsible for the society? This is something that we don't pay attention to. In namaz, in salat, we offer salat 5 times a day and we recite Surah Hamd twice in every salat. So 10 times a day we sign a contract with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that is Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'een. The term na'budu, if you look at the translation, leaving aside the Arabic term by itself, you would see it says we all. So now the question comes, isn't namaz, isn't salat an individual action between me and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? And on what grounds am I claiming that we all will worship you alone? That means there is a responsibility upon me for we all, not just I. I'm not saying a'buduka, or I'm not saying iyyaka a'budu. That is, you alone I will worship. No. I'm saying we all. That means I have responsibility for others apart from my own self. Na'budu is this. Nasta'een means we will not do shirk. We will worship you alone, and we will not do shirk. This indicates that we have a social responsibility. We have a social responsibility to work towards society and bring about a change in the society. Religion is not an individualistic thing. It's a social thing. Let me tell you, and probably this might help you understand. Imagine you have this whole society and there are like 100,000 people in it. If 100 people change, you still have a large number of people who are not practicing Islam appropriately. What happens is that these majority of the people cause a lot of intense pressure on these 100 people, and eventually they will succumb to that pressure. And that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that if you don't talk to them, bring about a change in them, you will end up losing your own religion. And that's why Amr bil Ma'ruf and Nahi as Munkar has been made wajib upon us. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, rather instead of quoting this, let me give an example here. Probably you will understand it clearly. Imagine you're traveling from here for ziyarat to Karbala. Inshallah, let's pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that all of us have this naseeb of ziyarat of Abu Abdullah alayhi salam. Inshallah. So we are in this aircraft on our way to Karbala. We have this one person. He suddenly gets up from his seat and starts digging a hole in the aircraft. What are we going to do? Are we going to tell him lakum dinakum waliyadeen? Or we will go and stop him? When you go and stop him, he says, La ikraha fid deen. Let me put it in simple. Excuse me, this is my seat. I paid for it. I'm sitting on it. I deserve this seat. This is my place. I have right on this. I'm digging hole under it. What's your problem? And what would be our answer? We would say, Azizam, I agree that you paid for that seat. You have right on that seat. You're sitting on that seat. But do you realize that if you dig a hole under your own seat, the whole craft will go down? And when that happens, your wrong action is not just risking your life, your deen, your iman. I'm connecting. Your deen, your iman. But it also risks all of our lives. And all of our deen. And all of our iman. This is where Rasulullah Khuda sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad, says Islam is like Safinatun Nijat. And when you board this Safine, which is ship, anyone who's digging a hole in it, you should go and stop him. And that's why Islam is not an individualistic religion. It's a social religion. You want a greater dalil for this? You want a greater proof for this? Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. What was the first thing that Prophet ﷺ did when he reached Medina? He established an Islamic system. If it was individualistic, there was no need to establish an Islamic system. He says we need Islamic system so that we can have the appropriate rules and regulations and laws to manage the society. And the goal is to establish an Islamic society. If it was individualistic, he would have said, Lakum dinakum waliyadin. I have my own religion. Whatever part of Islam you've understood and you choose to follow it, follow it. And then some might have come across and said, fair enough, Prophet, we believe in you, we choose not to believe in Imam Ali. What's wrong with that? Lakum dinakum waliyadin. And they say, no. Imam Ali is the rightful successor and therefore everybody should believe in him. If you don't, you're not part of Islam. So lakum dinakum waliyadin doesn't work here. Lakum dinakum waliyadin is not an excuse. So the point I'm trying to drive home here is that if I feel that I do not have any social responsibility, or I'm not responsible to bring about any social change when I see people not following Islam, then it is wrong. I am responsible for it, and if I don't attempt or make about that change, I will be questioned for it. And if I make excuses which are inexcusable, I will be punished for it. So we are socially responsible. And if we accept that, then we proceed further in our discussion. So please recite the salawat. Let me quote a historical incident here and, tickle your brain cells a little here. Haven't we heard a hadith from Imam Ali alayhi salam where he says, Khilafat is worth less than my torn shoe. Or Khilafat is worth less than the phlegm that is flowing from the nose of this goat here. Right? Does he not say that? He says it doesn't have any arzish for me. It's not valuable, has no value for me. Haven't we heard these hadiths from Imam Ali? They are very popular, we've heard them. Well, now I don't understand this. If Khilafat was so pointless, so unimportant for Imam Ali alayhi salam, then when it was taken away, why was Imam Ali alayhi salam doing so much ihtijaj for it? Why would Bibi Fatima salamullah alayhi go door to door knocking doors of ashab and reminding them that Khilafat is being usurped, Khilafat is being usurped, go and support Imam Ali. While for Imam Ali, Khilafat is not important at all. So there was a time when for Imam Ali, Khilafat was not important, but then there was a time where for Imam Ali, Khilafat was so important that he would do ihtijaj, he would socially boycott other people. Bibi Fatima would go, shaking the zamir of ashab, reminding them, so on and so on, until and unless she passes away, trying to defend this very own Khilafat. Right? Why? Why was there a time when Khilafat was important, and why was there a time when Khilafat was not important? Khilafat was not important for Imam Ali for his own self. Khilafat was not important for Imam Ali. Khilafat was not important for Imam Ali alayhi salam for his own self. As in, he didn't wanted it so that he can enjoy it. He wanted it for the mu'mineen. Why? Because Prophet ﷺ established the Islamic system which was so designed that if we would have continued on that very path, man would have reached towards perfection. The perfection which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has set as a goal for the creation of man. So he says that after Prophet, it is me who should be taking care of it, because I know what are the right things to put in place, what are the right laws to be applied and followed and implemented, and that will lead mankind towards perfection. And that's why it's so important. So he was not fighting for himself, but he was fighting for us. He was fighting so that we as a society can reach perfection. But when it went into the wrong hands and people manipulated it and changed the fundamental laws of Islam and damaged the whole Islamic system so extensively that it was in a totally malformed condition, more like a paralyzed system. And then they came to Imam Ali saying that, please take this. He says, this is worthless. You've damaged it all in and out. And then now, after 25 years of manipulating, misusing, harming, destroying the system, when it has become almost null, you want to give it to me and tell me that lead it? This is nothing. This is worse than my torn shoes. And he's right. Khilafat after 25 years had reached that point that it had become worse than his torn shoes. This behavior of Imam Ali alayhi salam, when his Khilafat was being usurped, indicates that he sensed that responsibility, which is a social responsibility. And we, if we claim to be the lovers of Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam, particularly the fact that we say if we do not have wilayat of Imam Ali in our heart, we are not the rightful Shias and so on and so forth. If we are truly such lovers of Imam Ali alayhi salam, then we should have that sense of social responsibility in ourselves and work towards bringing about that social change. So change in ourselves, change in the family, and then change in the society. Because if we don't change the society will build such amount of tantamount pressure on these few families who are working on themselves, that these families either will succumb or they would leave the society and go, or they would be socially boycotted and isolated. And the success of Islam is not in this state, but the success of Islam is in the state where you change the society and the whole society is treading the path of perfection, which is Kamal. And therefore Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says Islam is social thing. Why did Imam Hussain did qiyam against Yazid? Because they were damaging the social system. They were changing the fundamentals of Islam. And Imam said, if this continues, I know where the society will end up. And therefore he did qiyam. And he clearly says, I am rising up to change or transform the ummah. That means social. I'm rising up to bring about a social change for Amr bi Maruf and Nahi az Munkar, which is again social. So the qiyam of Imam Hussain alayhi salam is to do with the fact that Islam is a social thing. Now the two things that we so strongly claim about is Ishq Ali and Ashq Hussain. So if we are so madly in love with these two great personalities, their fundamental primary task was bringing about a social change. And if we remain indifferent to this, it again goes back to the point that, am I truly working towards preparing the grounds for the arrival of Imam Zamana? No. Until and unless there is a social change, there won't be any difference in the society. And if the society has not changed, Imam Zamana will not arrive. Please recite a salawat here. So now some of us might have a little confusion about this term called Kamal. What is Kamal? What is perfection? What is Sa'adat-e-Jame? You use these terms all the time and we have no understanding about it. And that is primary reason why we don't bring about any change either at individual level or at family level or at social level, because we do not have understanding of Kamal. Kamal means, perfection means that we work towards becoming Rabbani. What is Rabbani? Rabbani is, if we recall the discussion we had in Tawheed, that all sifats that are there in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are also seen in human beings. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is alim, man has the ability to acquire ilm. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is hakim, man has the ability to acquire hikmat, wisdom. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Qadir, man has Qudrat. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Hayy, man is living. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Ghafoor, man is also forgiving. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that for all the sifat that you find in yourself, you're supposed to build and develop them to an extent where you start reaching towards perfection and you become Rabbani. That means your level of sifat should be at a very, very high stage. Please recite a salwa. Muhammad Ya Ali. So if it's disturbing, probably you can pull down the curtains or something and maybe some space here so that people can adjust, inshallah. Alright, proceeding further. So Kamal is state of being Rabbani, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Hadith Qudsi says this. He's not saying it to a specific category of people. He's saying it to all the mu'mineen, all of them, no exceptions, no limitations. He says, O mu'mineen, obey me so much that I make you like me. So much so that your qudrat is like mine, your hayat is like mine. So much so that when you say be, it will be. That means Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that if you do the right kind of ita'at of me, I will give you the power of kun fayakun. In Arabic, the last term be and it will be is nothing but kun fayakun. He says, do my ita'at to an extent where I make you kun fayakun. You say kun fayakun, it happens. So perfection is that. Now, I see still a lot of faces which has a big question mark on it. Let me make it very simple. If we bring about that change in our social environment, then we move towards perfection and Kamal. What is perfection? Perfection is, in simple, all of us will become Abu Zar Ghaffari, Salman Farsi, Miqdad, Kumail ibn Ziyad, Zurare, Hisham ibn Hakam, and all these 72 martyrs of Karbala who stood by Imam Hussain and who were at the peak of their iman. That's where we will reach. So perfection that we are talking about is this, that until and unless we change ourselves, our family and society, nothing will happen. The 72 that were required for Imam Hussain, that will also not be in place. We're talking about 303. So social responsibility is placed upon us so that we all work towards changing the society, so that the whole society moves towards perfection. The whole society moves towards becoming Misamet Ammar, Salman Farsi. It is called Sa'adat-e Jame. Jame is society, Sa'adat is reaching that perfection and Kamal. It's called Sa'adat-e Jame. Even when Imam Zamana would come, this is the task that he is going to focus towards. If he is going to establish an Islamic hukumat, we say hukumat of justice. This is what he is going to focus upon. That the whole society should move towards Sa'adat and Kamal. So if we know that Imam is going to work towards that, why not start working for Imam right now? Let me give an example again here. There's a father with a nice family, wife and 2 children. This father had a nice job. For some reason, he found a better job in another city. So the father says, okay, listen, I'm going to go and work in that city and I'm going to come back over the weekends. Saturday and Sunday is with you people. However, I also know that according to Islam, it is my responsibility to earn the bread and serve it to you on the table. Washing dishes, washing clothes, cleaning house, mowing the lawn, so on and so forth. It's all my responsibility, right? So during the week, please do not do any of this. I will go, work, and when I come back on Saturday and Sunday, I will take care of all these things. Washing dishes, don't touch a single dish. I'll take care of it. When I come, I'm going to wash all the dishes. I'm going to wash all the clothes. I'm going to clean the house, so on and so forth. Now, Father goes away. It's Friday and father is expected to come home on Saturday morning. Question: what would be the family's behavior through the week? You've got two options. One, the family says, father himself said, don't do anything. And he's wali, And wali, when he says something, we got to obey. So we're not going to wash the dishes, nor the clothes, no cleanliness. The whole house is a mess. He will come and clean it. I don't know if you guys are getting the point. My words are very, very clear. But I'm going to clarify as well. Option number 2. They clean up. They maintain the house in a speckless manner, so that when the father comes home, he would look at it and be overjoyed. And he says, great, you've done what I was supposed to do. Excellent. So now, I am not burdened with that responsibility, and I will spend quality time with you, with children and with family. You want to hear the final statement? Imam Zamana himself says that I am going to come and solve all the problems. He says, and there are people who says, he himself said it, he will come and solve the problems. So why do you want to get involved into social and political and environmental aspects? Just leave it. It's Imam's job. And you don't touch anything. But the family who truly loves the father are going to clean up, wash the dishes, wash the clothes, keep the house clean, so that when the father comes, he's not burdened with something because he's already working hard. And when he comes, he says, you've been away from us for so long, now we want to bask in your glory. The more the family loves the father, the more they will complete the task. So the question is, how much do we love our Imam? It's true that he said, I'm going to come and fix everything. But if we truly love him, we should fix everything for him. So that when he comes, everything is ready. And he says, excellent. This shows how much you love me. And we say, yes, Imam, we waited for you for 1200 years. Now that you've come, we want to sit in front of you at your feet and learn. Gain marifat. That is what you're here for. We want quality time from you. See? Even in family system, we follow certain principles. Same goes for the Imam. Same goes for the Imam. So that is what we need to see. That how much love do I have in me for Imam? If my love is minuscule, I'm going to do minuscule. If my love is intense and oceanic, then I'm going to put in Herculean effort and bring about that oceanic, great, huge change. It all goes back to asking my own self. Now when I say own self, please remember, each of us put together becomes a society. Now if each of us sense that responsibility and takes up that responsibility and has that kind of intense love, the whole society will work towards the zuhur of Imam. So Islam is not individual. Eventually it becomes social, because you know that in a way or other we each have some influence on each other. The way we are related as a family, the way we are related as a community, so on and so forth. So that's why it's important that we realize that it's not enough to bring about a change at individual level or family level, but it is also necessary, and I don't want to call it obligatory, but to that extent, it is so highly necessary that we bring about a social change as well. Please recite the salawat. So if we work hard and we prepare the grounds for Imam, he will come and take us towards perfection. I had mentioned this earlier, that however hard we might try, we can only travel to certain extent on this path of Sirat al-Mustaqim and towards this path of perfection. Beyond that, it is only Imam who can take your hand and make you reach Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If we want to go and if we want to gain taqarrub of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we can go only to certain distance because we are incapable. We are limited. We are material. Whereas Imam is the connection between alam-e-madde, which is materialistic world, and metaphysical world. He is the connection between us and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And He is going to take us there. If we disconnect from Imam and become ghafil of him, it is going to cause huge damage to our society. Let me give an example here so that you can understand clearly that what happens when we lose the connection with Imam. Have you seen a well where water accumulates and when we draw water and use it? This well has a connection with the main source. It doesn't matter how large or how thin is that connection. It doesn't matter. As long as it's connected with the main source, the water is alive and you will find progress and growth in that water. As in, you will find living organisms there. These organisms live and grow and multiply. But the moment that connection is severed, the water starts becoming facid. There would be germs in it. There would be bacteria in it. It gets polluted, it gets fungal, and it cannot be used. Now our society is like this well, and Imam is Zamana, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is that connection and the main source. If we disconnect with Imam is Zamana, our society will become facid. It won't grow, it won't progress in religion, it won't progress in Iman. We have to have that connection. If the connection is lost, that's it. We are now moving towards the death of the society. Towards the death of these organisms that are living in this water. And that's why we need to maintain that connection. And as long as that connection is there, this water remains healthy, pure and beneficial. Even for those that are living in it and those who are outside of it using it. So having Imam Zamana and remaining connected with him would mean that our society is alive. Look at our society today. We lost the connection with Imam, and that's why you see so much corruption in the society. Be it from the work aspect, be it from the business aspect, be it from the family aspect, be it from the hijab aspect, be it from the iffat and dignity and honor aspect. This is an indication that we are moving towards being a society which is progressing, rather digressing towards death. This is a clear indication. An alarm. If we don't wake up to it, it might be too late. So please understand that we have this responsibility and He is our cure. We need Him to be alive. We need Him to remain alive. He is our cure. And we can't do away with Him. And hence, we need to work on our social environment and bring about that change. And how do we bring about that social change? We've already discussed some points, but individually, if we work on ourselves, individually we work on our families and cross families while multiple families are connected, support each other. Eventually, we are slowly growing into a society who's supporting each other and progressing. That is important. See, there are very, very clear evidences out there, and we remain ghafil from it. I'll tell you what. We are, in Urdu we use the term sust, lazy, laid back. For some reason, I have no idea why our Shia community is so laid back and lazy. It's sust. Look at Wahhabism. They are batil, but they are working day and night. When it comes to spending money for their religion, which is batil, they spend in and out. But we are haq. We are the haq. There is no doubt about it. But we are lazy. We are dormant. We are not active, they are active. It surprises me that how is it possible that we be haq and we remain dormant about it, while the batil is working tirelessly 24 hours a day, shedding sweat, blood and money. Haq should be working so hard and not batil. The more lenient we are towards batil, the more it grows. It's like a cancer. You don't do anything, it'll overtake your existence. It'll start from a small finger toe, and then it'll grow up and take all your existence and eventually kill you. So when you see they're working, the deadly organisms are working so hard, the immune system should also, the defense system should also work equally hard. Haq should work equally hard. I will pose that question back to you, which I posed to you a couple of days ago. Is it not time yet? Is it not time yet? I feel it is time. And I'm hoping all of you feel that way. That it is time that we should change ourselves and the society. Please recite a salawat here. I'm going to quickly cover a couple of points here, and then I'm going to move towards a hadith which is misquoted and misused, and I want to explain that hadith. So I'm going to quickly cover these couple of points here. One of them is that Amr bil Maruf and Nahi as Munkar should be common in society. It should not be a forgotten wajib. It's a wajib thing, and it is a forgotten wajib. It should become common. When can it become common? When we know the rules and regulations. And how will we know the rules and regulations? When we become attached with Tawziyul Masail. That means we need to learn our own religion and practice Amr bil Maruf and Nahi as Munkar. There are levels in practicing Amr bil Maruf and Nahi as Munkar. One, if someone is doing something wrong, you respond to them with facial expression. You show it to them that I'm not in consent with your such behavior. If that doesn't work, you show a little more gesture, probably turn away. Or something like that, so that the person knows that you're not okay with that behavior, because that is not Islamic. If still that is not working, then you tell the person, listen brother, this is haram. You're not supposed to do this. Some of the great scholars says that though we have this condition that you should know it will have impact on that person, so on and so forth, he says that it definitely has impact. Until and unless there are a couple of categories which he excludes. He says he's like an arrogant king, like Pharaoh, who would just not listen, right? So if that is the kind of person, then you don't have to do Amr bil Maruf. But if it's a mu'min like us, he says it definitely has an impact. It is highly probable that the first person tells him, for example, sir, your transactions are not right, huh? You're getting haram food or haram risk, huh? This person might get upset and argue with this person. That's okay. Move away. Second person tells him. Third person, fourth, fifth. When 10 people, 20 people tell him, suddenly he realizes that maybe they're right. And maybe I'm wrong. I need to change. While the whole society can see it, maybe I'm not able to see it. Same goes in the ladies, that when you find a lady who's not following the right hijab, you tell her, listen sister, this is not the right kind of hijab. You're showing your hair, you should cover it. At the first time around, she would say that, why do you care? Get going. So fine, walk away. Second sister says, third sister says, 15th sister says, eventually she realizes that I'm not going to be allowed to be this way. Because if I don't change after 15 tazakkur, 15 reminders, it'll go on till 100 reminders. It does create an impact. The guilty conscience creeps in and starts telling you, maybe you're wrong. Maybe you don't know the ruling. So change. So first with facial expressions, then body language of turning away, then by telling the person. And mu'mineen are responsible up to this. Not beyond this into any kind of a physical action or anything. That beating them up or anything. No, that's the job of Islamic system, not ours. We are only limited to telling them. And telling has multiple levels. First softly, then a little sternly, then a little more assertively. Then you might actually be very angry and tell them, no, this is not okay. We don't accept this at all. That is going to be the last stage. So, Amr bil Maruf and Nahi as Munkar should be common in the society. That's when the society will change. Great ulamas like Imam Khomeini, Ayatollah Khoui and others, they've said a society which lacks Amr bil Maruf and Nahi as Munkar from it is a dead society. It's a dead society. And in our community, in our society, we see that Amr bil Maruf and Nahi as Munkar is barely practiced. We need to start. At least the elders should start. And then start encouraging the youth to follow it. At least the elders should start, minimum. The next one is become aware of three things: hurdles, enemies and oppression. Internal and external. Become aware of hurdles that are internal to us. Become aware of enemies which are internal to us, which could be at individual level, at social level, and those that are outside. Individually, our nafs is a great enemy of our progress. So become aware of it. Some people do not understand and oppress themselves. Become aware of it and stop oppressing our own self. Similarly, within the society. When the whole society comes together, few antisocial elements will not be able to make much of a difference. Because the whole society has one single goal, which is moving towards perfection. So become aware of it and make others aware of these hurdles, enemies and oppressions. Become aware and make others aware of it. Now, this is one of the most important messages of Imam Hussain alayhi salam in the battlefield of Karbala. Amr bil Maruf and Nahi as Munkar. You have to stand up against oppression. He stood up against oppression. And that's the greatest lesson for us. He says, this is the lesson. Right? So don't ignore it. Probably later on, a couple of people can get together and form something like Amr bil Maruf and Nahi as Munkar committee and then take it further. It's up to you people how you work it out. Now, there's a hadith that I would want to refer to and help you understand that. The hadith goes this way. When the world is filled with tyranny and oppression, Imam will arrive. It's a very common hadith that we hear and it is discussed. Now, what does this mean? A lot of people say this. They say, listen, there's already oppression happening, tyranny happening, killing and massacres happening. Now, if we interfere and stop it, then the world will never get filled with tyranny and oppression. And therefore, Imam will never arrive. So, interfering with the oppressor and trying to stop the oppression is indirectly trying to stop the arrival of Imam. Right or wrong? Absolutely right. No, absolutely wrong. You got it wrong. Why? Because Imam Ali alayhi salam in Nahjul Balagha says to his own army that in an Islamic system, people from outside come and they steal the anklet of a Jew woman. You all should die with shame. That means he's saying that an oppression to an extent of stealing an anklet from a Jew woman should not be tolerated. So what is he trying to say? He's trying to say that our capacity to tolerate zulm has increased. And over a period of time, it has increased manifold. So much so that when we get a news that Al Saud is bombing the Yemenis and 200 people died, it doesn't move us. We don't feel the pain. While Imam Ali is saying that we should reduce our capacity to tolerate zulm. No? You have a big bowl, you pour as much water in it, it will fill up. This water is nothing but zulm. But if you reduce that capacity to 1 pint, just a little bit of water would fill it up. Can you see the difference? If our capacity is huge, irrespective of the amount of zulm that is happening today, if it continues to be more, the big bowl will never fill up, like a swimming pool. But if your capacity is reduced to one small cup, even a little bit of water will fill it up. So Imam here is telling you, as in telling us, that reduce your capacity to bear zulm. It should be so little that even if they steal an anklet, it should be considered as zulm which has filled the world. I don't know if you're getting it. I don't know if you're distracted. Our capacity to bear zulm should be so little that if someone steals an anklet from a Jew woman, we should feel as if the whole world has been filled with zulm. When we reach that point, Imam will come. Today, our capacity to bear zulm is so high, that irrespective of what people are doing, how much they're killing, how much they're massacring people in Parachina or Bahrain or Kuwait or Yemen or Philistine or wherever within India, it doesn't matter, as long as it's not happening to me. But remember, tomorrow it will happen to us and others will remain indifferent. Please recite a salawat here. Right. Can I just ask that people at the end, can you hear me, or is the sound really, you can hear it? Excellent. Now, if you've understood this point, you will also understand that in Karbala, the capacity of Kufiyun to bear zulm was really large. So much so that they killed Imam Ali alayhi salam, and it didn't really bother them. The janazah mutahhar of Imam Hussain alayhi salam was shot with arrows. It didn't move them. They were preparing the lashkar to attack Imam Hussain alayhi salam, and it didn't bother them. So much so that Yazid was changing the fundamentals of Islam. You know what Yazid said? He said, there was no revelation, there is no prophet. All this was just a drama to keep the khilafat in their hands, to keep the ruling in their hands. With that kind of a statement, not a single Muslim among the Kufiyuns would stand up and fight with Yazid or take sides with Imam Hussain alayhi salam. So the capacity to bear zulm was so high among them. Now we need to look at our own society and see that is this the case with us in our society? Has our capacity to bear zulm gone up so high that we are indifferent towards each other, indifferent towards the musibat of our mu'mineen brothers? If that's the case, then no way, Imam is not going to come. Right. So if we remain indifferent, now we will remain indifferent when Imam comes. Meaning that if people are gathering lashkar to fight Imam Zamana, the kind of behavior we have today for Imam Zamana, that is the kind of behavior we will have for Imam Zamana when he arrives. We need to reduce that capacity of zulm. We have a very, very large heart to bear the zulm, which is not right. Our heart should be, this is where we recited the Masaib of Hazrat Abbas alayhi salam yesterday. Before going for jang, the statement he tells Imam Hussain is this. He says, Maula, mera सीना तंग हो गया है, मैं अब आप पर जुल्म नहीं देख सकता. When they asked them to take away their tents from the river Furat, that is when Hazrat Abbas alayhi salam first drew his sword. He said, no way. It was Imam who was saying them then, Abbas, wait. But then Hazrat Abbas says that I know you've been patient with them because you are Imam. and your way of approach with them is different. But for me now it is full. Can't take it anymore. I have to go. So should be our case. We should feel that heaviness on our chest. This much zulm, I can't take it. It's not necessarily killing, beating and massacre. The very fact that there is guna happening in our society, that itself is zulm. Be hijabi is zulm. Cheating people is zulm. Eating their money is zulm. Taking loans, not returning is zulm. Backbiting is zulm. Lying to each other is zulm. Our capacity to bear all these things should reduce dramatically. This is my last point. And before I conclude the majlis of the series of sessions that we had, I would like to remind everyone again, the call is still resonating. We need to say yes. If we don't, who knows, maybe it'll be delayed by another 1,000 years or 1,200 years. So we need to prepare ourselves and change. Change at individual level, at family level, at social level. When we do that, then we prepare ourselves, and when we are prepared, and then we recite Ya Sahibu Zaman Ya Ibn al-Hasan al-Askari, inshallah, just once is enough and he will come. And that is when we would say Labbaik Ya Mahdi. Inshallah, inshallah. عزیزو، آج شب عاشور، آج وہ شب ہے جو اتنی عظیم ہے کہ کبھی کبھی ہمیں اس کی ارزش، اس کی امپورٹنس سمجھ میں نہیں آتی. یہ آخری شب ہے کہ امام حسین کے خیموں میں امن و امان رہے گا. یہ وہ آخری شب ہے کہ امام حسین خدا کی بارگاہ میں عبادت کریں. کل کی شب ہمارا امام نہیں رہے گا. کل کی شب اہل البیت آج جو حالت میں اس میں نہیں رہیں. عزاداروں، میں جانتا ہوں آپ لوگ 9 دن سے مجلسیں کر رہے ہیں، کبھی اس مجلس میں جا رہے ہیں، کبھی اس مجلس میں جا رہے ہیں، آنسو بہا رہے ہیں، تھک گئے، میں جانتا ہوں. لیکن بس ایک دن اور، پھر کل شام آپ لوگ گھر لوٹ جائیں گے. آپ لوگ کو جو زحمت ہو رہی ہے وہ ختم ہو جائے. لیکن یاد رکھیں، جب آپ لوگ گھر لوٹ رہے ہیں تو کوئی آپ کے گھر پہ حملہ نہیں کر رہا، کوئی آپ کے گھروں کو جلا نہیں رہا ہے، کوئی آپ کے خواتینوں کو اسیر کر کے رسن سے ہاتھ نہیں باندھ رہا ہے، کوئی آپ کے چھوٹے چھوٹے بچوں کو تماچے نہیں مار رہا، کوئی 3 سال کی بچی کے کان سے بالیاں نہیں کھینچ رہا. ہمارے لیے مصیبت نہیں. لیکن یاد رہے، یہ آج کی شب آخری شب ہے. کل اسی وقت امام کے خیموں میں قیامت برپا ہوگی. فوجیں حملہ کریں، خواتین کو کھینچ کھینچ کر باہر نکالا جائے گا، ہاتھوں میں رسن باندھی جائے گی، بچوں کو تماچے مارے جائیں گے، بیمار سے بستر کھینچا جائے گا. ہمارے لیے تو بس آج آخری دن ہے، کل سے آرام ہی آرام ہے. لیکن اہل البیت کے لیے کل سے قیامت ہی قیامت ہے، کل سے مصیبت ہی مصیبت ہے. آج کی شب آخری شب ہے جس میں امان ہے. کل کی شب مصیبت کی شب، کل کی شب قیامت کی شب. عزیزوں کا سر نیزوں پہ دیکھیں گے اور لاشوں کے ٹکڑے ٹکڑے پہ. یہ ہوگا کل کا دن، یہ ہوگی کل کی شب. عزادارو، عاشور کی صبح جب علی اکبر علیہ السلام اذان دیتے ہیں تو دشمن سے کہہ رہے ہیں، ہم دیکھو اذان سنو اہل البیت کی آواز میں، اذان سنو پیغمبر کی آواز میں، تاکہ پہچان لو کہ ہم آل پیغمبر ہیں، ہم حق ہے. علی اکبر کی اذان جب گونجتی ہے تو چاہتے کہ دشمن سمجھے کہ ہم اہل البیت ہیں. لیکن نہیں، دشمن کا دل پتھر ہو چکا. عزیزو، ایک تیر سے جنگ شروع ہوتی ہے اور ایک تیر سے جنگ ختم ہوتی ہے. عمر ابن سعد کہتا ہے، یزید کے لشکر گواہ رہنا کہ میں ہوں جو سب سے پہلا تیر چلا رہا. تیر چلتی ہے، جنگ شروع ہوتی ہے. اصحاب میدان میں آتے ہیں، ایک ایک کر کر خود کو مولا پہ قربان کرتے ہیں. پھر نوبت آتی ہے بنی ہاشم کی، علی اکبر، جناب علی اکبر قربان ہوتے ہیں، جناب قاسم قربان ہوتے ہیں، جناب حضرت عباس قربان ہو جاتے ہیں. جب کوئی نہیں بچتا تو امام دشمن سے مخاطب ہو کر خطبہ دیتے ہیں اور کہتے ہیں میں تم پر اپنی حجت تمام کرتا ہوں. پھر ایک صدا لگاتے ہیں، حل من ناصر ینصرون. ایک دفعہ خیموں میں قیامت برپا ہو، بیویاں سر پیٹ پیٹ کر رونے لگتی ہے. مولا پوچھتے کیا ہوا؟ کہتے ہیں یہ جو صدا ہے حل من ناصر سنی تو علی اصغر نے خود کو جھولے سے گرا دیا. مولا ننھا مجاہد تیار ہو گیا جنگ میں آ. امام کہتے ہیں لاؤ مجھے دو، میں تھوڑا پانی پلا دوں. دشمن کے سامنے جاتے کہتے تمہاری دشمنی مجھ سے ہے، اس بچے نے کیا گناہ کیا ہے، اس بچے کو تھوڑا پانی دے دو، اس بچہ کو بہت پیاس لگی ہے. امام ایک لفظ استعمال کرتے ہیں، عربی میں اس کا معنی ہوتا ہے یتلظا. جانتے ہیں یتلظا یعنی کیا؟ یتلظا یعنی جب مچھلی کو پانی سے باہر نکالتے ہیں تو پانی کی کمی سے مچھلی تڑپتی ہے، اپنی دم چٹاتی ہے، پروں کو مارتی ہے، لیکن پھر تھک جاتی ہے تو اب پروں کو نہیں ہلاتی، صرف دم کو مارتی ہے. اس کے بعد طاقت نہیں رہتی، اب ہمت نہیں ہے تو صرف منہ کو کھولتی ہے اور بند کرتی ہے. اس سے معلوم پڑتا ہے کہ موت سر پہ کھڑی ہے. کہتے ہیں امام حسین دشمن کو دکھا کے کہتے ہیں دیکھو میرے بچے کی حالت، یتلظا، اب دم نہیں رہا، ہاتھ نہیں مار سکتا، ایڑیاں نہیں لڑے. ایڑیاں نہیں رگڑ سکتا، فقط منہ کھولتا ہے اور منہ بند کرتا ہے. کیا تمہیں ترس نہیں آتا؟ عمر ابن سعد کہتا ہے ہرملا تیر چلاؤ ورنہ تجھے ہماری فوج پلٹ جائے گی. تیر چلتا ہے. امام کا 6 مہینے کا بچہ خون میں لت پت، امام کیسے خیمے میں لے جائیں گے؟ ماں کا دل، چھوٹی لاش. لعن اللہ علی قوم الظالمین. خدایا تیری بارگاہ میں دعا کرتے ہیں کہ ہمیں توفیق عطا فرما. علماء کہتے ہیں کہ کوئی ماہ محرم کی مجلسوں میں آئے، شرکت کرے، اور ان کے اندر اگر کوئی چینج نہیں آئے، کوئی بدلاؤ نہیں آئے، یعنی انہوں نے واقعاً مجلس سے کوئی فائدہ نہیں اٹھایا. ہم دعا کرتے ہیں کہ خدایا ہمیں توفیق عطا فرما کہ ہمارے اندر کوئی چینج آئے، ہمارے اندر کوئی تغییر آئے، ہمارے اندر کوئی بدلاؤ، اور ہمارے دلوں کو ظلم سہنے کی جو عادت ہو گئی ہے اسے کم کر دے. ہماری جو کیپیسٹی ہے اس کو اتنی چھوٹی کر دے کہ کہیں چھوٹا سا ظلم باہر چھوڑ دے. اپنی ہی کمیونٹی میں کہیں چھوٹا سا ظلم ہوتا ہے تو ہم اس کو برداشت نہ کریں انشاءاللہ. اور دعا کرتے ہیں خدایا بے حق کے ان شب، آج کی شب بہت ہی عظیم شب ہے، ایسی شب ہے کہ امام اور ان کے تمام اصحاب قرآن پڑھ رہے تھے، زمزمے کر رہے تھے، خدا کی عبادت اور راز و نیاز کر رہے تھے. اس شب کی عظمت سے خدایا امام زمانہ کے ظہور میں تعجیل فرما، جلد سے جلد ظہور ہو جائے اور ہم کو ان کے ناصران میں اور ان کے صاحبان میں اور ایسے افراد جو ان کے اوپر جان، بچے، مال قربان کرتے ان میں شمار فرما. اللہم صلی علی محمد و آل محمد وعجل ماتم حسین.
محمد و آل محمد صلوات. I will take just 2-3 minutes of your time. Friends, the main reason to keep such kind of lectures and such kind of majalis is that when we spend hours and hours together in just such kind of gatherings, there has to be change in us, and we become more nearer to Ahl Bayt alayhimus salam and more nearer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And when we go out from this Majlis, we don't remain as we had come in. Now, first of all, I would like to thank Maulana Ali Hemani. He has come all the way from Qum. He accepted our invitation and he gave this lectures, majalises, from the bottom from his heart, very, very sincerely. And we are definitely thankful for it to him and request all of you to pray for him, for his success, for his happiness, and may Allah remove whatever problem he is having. Ilahi Amin. Second, I would like to thank Janab Muslim Damani and his entire family. First of all, we are thankful that he has given us these premises to hold these lectures and majalises here. And second thing, why I said family, because the whole family is involved in doing all these arrangements. So again, of course, we are thankful to him and request to pray for him and his entire family also. Third thing, we have definitely tried our best to make these arrangements. It is quite possible that there are some shortcomings from our side, and we definitely request you to forgive us for that. And last thing, this is our first year of Majlis, such kind of gatherings, and I am particularly happy that I am seeing a lot of young faces who are taking interest on them. And going forward, we will keep more such lectures like this in month of Ramzan, in between also. And we would definitely welcome suggestions from you, which will help us to do these things in a better way. Bar Muhammad wa ali Muhammad salawat. Ya Hussain, Ya Hussain.